Good afternoon, humbuns. This is your girl, Miss Books to You, coming to you today with a new section on my channel called Pearls of Wisdom. It is a section on the channel where I will be focusing on articles that I read throughout the week in regards to just life in general, things that are happening in the world. But I read a lot of articles throughout the week. People send me things, or I get emails constantly, and I get them from Google Plus a lot. I read a lot off of Google Plus, as well as Madame Noir, which is they are African American based businesses, and they post is women and men that post articles about things that just happen in life in general. And one that caught my eye, which is it was about hair and an employer. And it was an issue that I recently had when I was trying to get a new job in the field of psychology, which is what I have my degree in. So I'm sorry, I'm so thirsty right now. But the article is from Hello Beautiful, and it's titled "So This Happened. Recent Graduate Loses Job Offer Because of Her Braids." And it was posted about 3 weeks ago, and I will leave it in the description box below the article so you can read it and get familiar with what I'm speaking on today. So hers was basically she is Nigerian, and her name is Miss Laura, and basically she was a recent graduate, and the potential employer sent her an email informing her that they said that she could not work for them unless she was willing to change her braided hairstyle. And the letter reads, "Unfortunately, we cannot accept braids. It is a simple part of the uniform and grooming requirements that we get from our clients. If you're able to take them out, if you're unable to take them out, unfortunately, I would not be able to offer you any work. Kind regards, Sam." And this is something that actually touched me a little bit because like I stated a few weeks ago, well, a couple of months ago actually. It's not a few weeks, it's a couple of months. I was searching because I was unhappy with the work environment that I had at that time. And it was kind of sort of some of the people, but more so it was just me just not feeling fulfilled, or I have a background of customer service, and I was doing customer service where I was. However, it wasn't actually hands-on with people. I would speak with people, but I didn't feel like I was touching the impact. And I did. Some of the people who would call in, I would, give them advice or try my best to assist them when others had not. That's what I feel like is the best customer service I can offer. But in my search in my new current position that I have, which I am ecstatic and I love my job and my coworkers, and one interview just sat with me so wrong. And I'm not going to reference the place that I had the interview with, but I went on the first interview, and it was an African American lady who was the supervisor, and the lady who was right up under her, she was a Caucasian lady. They told me, "Oh, Miss Alex, you're very well versed, and you're just what we're looking for." When I walked in, the majority of the people who were there were African American. I think I may have seen 4 or 5 Caucasian people, but most of them were a little bit younger, so I'm assuming they were student workers. So in the interview, she told me, you don't really have a background in law, but I just like your presence. I like your attitude about things, and I really want you to be considered for this position. So she told me, she said, there are some things on your resume that are, that needs to be touched up, some corrections. And I, it's like, well, what's going on with the resume? Because I'm a stickler for grammatics. So I really needed to know what was in error. But she was speaking of a resume that she pulled offline. So I gave her my updated resume that I actually had, which I thought it was uploaded online, but apparently it had not fully uploaded correctly. So she went over everything. She told me, what I needed to wear. She said exactly what you have on now. You need to wear it because the job position that I would be getting, well, what that I was interviewing for was actually with judges and lawyers. And I am accustomed to professional dress, even if I do have a more relaxed environment. Most of the time, I do dress more business professional versus casual business, which is most of the time what I get jobs that are business casual. So I say, okay. And she says, well, we'll give you a call back in about 2 weeks. So I know I did good on the interview. And so I wait, but I don't wait long at all. I get an email and a phone call from her that next day. Well, actually that morning. And she states that she wants to schedule me for an interview for that Friday. Well, I actually had an interview with my current job that same day around the same time. So I asked her would she be, a little bit lenient on the time that I could come in. She told me yes. So I came in and I met her, which was the Caucasian lady again. She greeted me. We waited, and the lady who I was supposed to interview with told her to come upstairs in about 10 minutes. So I wait, and I'm looking at my time. I'm like, okay, the 10 minutes is passing, but the lady is busy doing work. So she's not really paying attention, and I don't want to be rude and get up and say, well, ma'am, my 10 minutes has passed. But I just sit. So the lady comes down. So I'm sitting on the couch. She comes down the stairs. She looks me up and down. She walks to the office where the lady is, and she tells her, what's going on. It's well past the 10 minutes. I'm on the schedule. Okay, so I go upstairs. And we go upstairs. So she greets me. She shakes my hand, and she tells me, it's nice meeting me. And she goes over my resume. She says that there are some grammatics that are incorrect on it, which they were not, but that's neither here nor there. And she begins to grill me about my resume. So she says, well, I see that you don't have law experience, and everybody here has law experience. So I said, well, in a nice way, I said, well, this was something that was known prior to me coming to the interview. So if this was an issue, they could have told me, and I would have, if I would have known that that's what you were looking for, I wouldn't have applied, because it did not state that. And it did not state it in the specifics that what the requirements, the qualifications that you needed in order to get the job. I wouldn't apply because I know I have absolutely no law. Although I wanted to be a lawyer, I don't have a background in law. So we get past that, and she says, well, I said, well, if everybody has law, well, like, what are they doing here? So she was like, they can't pass the bar. So you just crucified me for not having anything with law, and these people up here can't pass the bar? Okay. So I want the job, and I feel like I'm a good fit for it. I'm sorry about my phone going on. But I want the job, and I feel like I'm a good fit for it. I like the people. Both times they were really nice. They asked you, do you want some water? Do you need anything? That's the type of environment that I like being around. So we get to the part, and she stops, and she says, I like you. Like, I really like you. The only thing is, you have to do something with that. What is that? That. And I'm like, what is that? Your hair. At that time, my hair was a bit more fluffier than it is right now. But I say, okay. It did take me aback when she said it, because I've never been told about that. She also told me, I need you to calm down your jewelry. No, not calm down. She said, I need you, when you come to work, you can't be as flashy, because you will be taking attention off of who actually is supposed to be getting that attention. So I said, yes, ma'am. And that's what I did. So she tells the other lady, no, she asked me, would I mind them stepping out and talking about me for a moment? So I said, no problem. And any of my friends will tell you I'm very observant. So when I first walked in the room, there was some flat screens to the left of the room, and there was a light and it was red. So when they walked out, about 2 minutes later, the light went from red to green. And I do know that some of the rooms that they have are litigation rooms. So I'm okay. At this point, they're watching me to see, if I'm talking to myself, if did I get upset about what she asked me, which it did. Truthfully, it did frustrate me. I never had that instance. But to add insult to injury, her hair was puffy. Probably not as big as mine, but it was just as big. Hers was a little bit shorter. I actually walked in to a younger African American girl, and she had like 30 inches of hair in her head. And I'm like, ma'am, you have to know that this young lady did not grow. Not to say that African American women cannot grow long hair, but that was not her hair. So, but I digress. So when she walked out, I got a clamp. I pulled my hair back. I took the earrings out. I took the earrings out. So she came back and she said, "Oh, you changed." I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she was like, "Well, I like people that can adapt to change, and I want to welcome you to the team. If I give you the drug test, are you able to pass?" So, am I able to pass the drug test? Yes, ma'am, I am. What? So she says, she gives me the letter. As I told you before, I'm a stickler for detail and I pay attention to everything. So when she hands me the letter, it's dated the day after I had my first interview. So you knew that you were going to hire me. So why did you feel like you had to try to belittle or degrade me about the situation when it came to the hair and the flashiness? But some people play on that. But my whole reason for this actual video is, in life, my parents taught me at a very early age, Carla, in life, everyone has choices. And the first thing that everyone told me was, Carla, you can sue them and da 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 da. It's not really about the whole suing situation, because the way that laws are made, they are made they can do what they want to do, basically. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. But I see why a lot of people are entrepreneurs at this point, because of the stipulations that they do put on people. My hair has absolutely nothing to do with my work ethic. Nothing at all. But apparently that is something that people associate with, how you are. And they have some people who say fat people are lazy. I am not lazy. I work hard. I might not work out hard, but I do work hard. So the basis for this is, it's all up to you, and you shouldn't allow a person to change you. Or if a person is trying to change you, you may want to rethink about your place with their establishment, because there is someone out there that will accept you. And when I tell you God is good, he is good, because that after I left her interview, I went to my current job's interview. And when I tell you, when I walked in, my supervisor now hugged me, embraced me. Oh my God, I love you. I can't wait for you to come on. Although it did take a while for it to happen, it did happen, and everything is in God's timing, and we can't rush that. That's another thing I wanted to say. But just make sure that when you do your research when it comes to your employer, and make sure that you are paired with someone who will go along with who you are. Your hair, your size, just who you are in general does not dictate or determine your work ethic. So I know Miss Laura, she was probably upset about the situation. And when I tell you my My letter of decline was just beautiful. What I did was, because I changed my hair weekly, yes, weekly. I know you probably noticed when doing the videos. I changed my hair weekly. So that next week I was getting my hair straight anyway. So I did a bang and my hair was long. And I'm not sure if I recorded that week, but I did change it. And I took a picture of myself. And I did tell them I took the drug test because obviously she didn't think I was, because they sent me an email saying, well, if you knew that you weren't going to pass the drug test, you just shouldn't have taken it. But I was actually thinking, and my supervisor, well, I'm sorry, not the supervisor, but my director of my previous job says, Carla, are you sure that, because I really was like, well, I'll just change it because that's something that I really want to do. And she says, Carla, if somebody really wants you, they will accept you however you are. Because my supervisor say, Carla, you one day you will come in short, one day you will come in long. It's just how the spirit moves me, how I come in. But once again, go with the employer that respects you. Period. And it's all about respect. They should respect, hair color. And that's another thing too that they frown upon: hair color, red, pink. If you do your work, and I understand that the first impression is the lasting impression, but the book is not, the outside of the book is not always like the inside. I have read a book, and I'm going to review that book probably next, where the outside of the cover is hideous. However, that book is so good. So just don't judge. That's my thing. Don't judge. But Miss Laura, I wish you the best, and I hope that everything worked out for you. Don't let that discourage you. Don't let anyone discourage you from your path, and just continue to pray and ask whomever your source of strength comes from to help you and uplift you until you find and go where you want to be, and be with who you need to be with, as far as employers, relationships, just life in general. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and you have a great night.